Good morning and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We are here to discuss the most recent episode of The Last of Us. Before we get into that, let's address some scheduling changes due to availability this past weekend. So, I did not see Cocaine Bear. That should be obvious from anyone who's looking at the stream and is like, where is the Cocaine Bear episode that was supposed to be up on Saturday? I was busy Saturday all day, so I did not see Cocaine Bear. Also, partially due to the fact that I had no interest in seeing Cocaine Bear to begin with. So, it's one of those things that I didn't work to make a ton of time in my schedule to get it in there. Although if you listen to this show, you probably know what it's going to be. It's about my review of Beast, where it's like, do you want to see Idris Elba fight a lion? There you go. This is, do you want to see a bear do cocaine? Well, here you go. It's kind of that same thing. Where it's like, okay, I get what they're going for here. Like, it's not great. There you go. There's Cocaine Bear. Having not seen the movie, at least, and looking at the trailer. But the thing is, it's not something like I'm going to try and work it into my schedule elsewhere. So, we're going to omit Cocaine Bear entirely. Yesterday we were going to do All Quiet on the Western Front, but, again, busy. And then me and Josie recorded the new episode of Exploring Hyperspace Lanes for this week, which is a little shorter than usual because she had a time constraint. But we did get the episode recorded, so that, that didn't happen either. But that I'll record this afternoon, or this evening, on my way home from work. So we'll have All Quiet on the Western Front tonight. And I'll get the calendar at some point today on the website, so that way that's all reflected there. And in terms of other scheduling things, Creed and Creed 2 will probably end up not going up until, what's it called? It probably won't go up on the feed until tomorrow. So, yeah, that's kind of the big, the big difference there. It's that, it's not going to go up until, tomorrow. Reason for that is, I didn't record it yesterday. Again, because me and Josie recorded a new episode of Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. And then, because it took us, because we did that late, I didn't record the episode yesterday. And, because I didn't record the episode yesterday, it's not going to go up until I record it tomorrow after work. Because that's going to be a, what's it called? I gotta record that separately, and that is, there's something that goes into, a little something that goes into it, and I gotta do that tomorrow, after work. So, I'm not gonna have time to do it before work, and usually I try to get it up 12:05, but it's gonna be delayed a few hours. So those of you who are listening to 30-minute reviews, that is where that episode will be. And I feel like that's the only schedule changes. I think that the website reflects Creed 3 on Wednesday. Yeah. And Operation Fortune on Thursday. I think I got my Shazam ticket too, so I can update with the exact date for Shazam. But yeah, that's all, all the stuff that's upcoming over the coming week or so. So this week we're going to talk a little bit about the latest episode of The Last of Us, Left Behind, which was, if I remember correctly, the name of the DLC for The Last of Us, that explored a little more of Ellie's backstory. Again, I didn't really play The Last of Us. I got through the first episode, and that's about it. But yeah, it's a, if I remember, I seem to recall there being commercials for The Last of Us DLC, or trailers for The Last of Us DLC that got played a lot. Maybe I'm just conflating it with Walking Dead World Beyond, and I'm thinking of the World Beyond trailer, or commercial they used to air on AMC. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, but I don't know if maybe I'm just conflating the two. But this one explores the story of Ellie and Riley, Ellie's backstory, where Ellie came from. I don't think it's a good episode, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I'm really, really not saying that. What I am saying is I think that I feel like this episode doesn't go far enough back in Ellie's backstory. It seems like it's more of an origin story for her finding out about her immunity than it is figuring out why Ellie does what she does. Which, granted, I can understand why you would do that from a narrative standpoint, considering where the story is, and it's her saving Joel's life as the framing device. So, like, I totally understand all of that. That all totally makes sense to me. But it's just the, what's it called? It is one of those things where it's like, I feel like I would have liked to see an origin for Ellie's attitude and all of that, because by the time we get to this show, and where this episode kind of picks up with her in the Boston QZ, and she's already this person, I would like to see that a little bit more, explore a little bit more about, like, yeah, she's been brainwashed by Fedra. Like, I want to see why, like, what is, with the, why she believes the Fireflies are the way that they are, and we know the Firefly, spoilers for part 2, but we know the Fireflies aren't exactly the most up-and-up people, and, I think even seeing, like, what's called, with what Marlene was doing in the last one, or in the episode, was it 2 episodes ago, with the 2 kids, whose names I keep forgetting, but, like, look, this show, doing what it does, and doing it as well as it does, even this, where it's not telling me the story I would hope it would tell, it's still telling an interesting story nonetheless. That's the only way to keep me entertained fully. And, like, seeing Riley and Ellie's relationship as it evolves and grows is a really interesting aspect of the show, that they do a great job of really driving home, the humanity. And I think that's really been the show's best parts the entire way through, has been finding the humanity in the most inhospitable of situations, where it's like Ellie going to the mall and seeing all the stuff from the before, everything went to shit. It's like, there are so many great little touches, like her with the electric elevator and, like, running up and down the elevator. It's like, oh my god, the elevator's just moving. That's so cool. Like, it's like shit like that that's really cool. Now, look, granted, am I a little confused as to how the electricity is still running in this mall, 20 years after the world ended? A little bit. Like, that doesn't seem like something that is likely to happen in reality, but whatever. But going to the arcade and seeing them play at the arcade is great, and seeing them, go to the, go to the Halloween store and all of that. And I think this is the first time we actually saw a clicker be there was the episode with the 2 brothers, but since then, I don't think we've seen a clicker be a threat, since then. And it's like, I think that's really to the show's benefit, where, like, I'm not sitting here and, like, oh, well, we guess I wait for the episode, this episode's zombie, attack, or they're not really zombies, they're infected, but, this episode's zombie attack has to come at some point soon, and I think that's to the show's benefit, but it's like, this episode really built into that great. I don't know what happens to Riley, though. I would assume she dies, but she may come back, because they pull the narrative trick where it's like, oh, well, we don't see her dead, therefore she can always come back if something happens. But up until this point, they haven't shown there to be a cure for cordyceps, so who knows. I also really appreciate the like, everything about this episode's so great, and they do a great job of layering in all of these little world building touches and all these little touches about Ellie and Riley's relationship, to the point where we get to the end, and then it's like she's saving Joel's life, and it is her realizing that she couldn't save Riley, and that's why she did that. And that conversation at the end is just so heartbreaking, with her and Riley sitting there, and it's like, well, what do we do now? It's like, well, we can kill ourselves, or we can go insane together. And it's just like it's such a great little character moment for these two who are going through this shit. And it's like this show just continues to wow me every time it happens. And granted, and I've said it before, it's like we talk about The Last of Us as it's the best adaptation of a video game into a TV show or a movie, and it's like, granted, yes, but also The Last of Us is widely considered to be one of the best narrative games of all time. So it's kind of like, you know, you're starting from a position of strength. And when you start, sorry about that, when you start in that position and you're starting with this show that's already, or this game rather, that's already built up this world in such a way that we can, you know, that it's an easy enough thing to adapt and move through the story of, it's like, okay, well, it all kind of makes sense. And look, we're nearly at the end now. There's like 2 episodes left, I think. That was episode 7 out of 9. So there's 2 more weeks of this, and then that's it. I just feel like and it's not this episode's fault, it's just a thought that I've been having about it. It's like, Joel and Ellie's relationship has been evolving, and I do like how they've been showing it evolving. I just, again, maybe it is the fact that they are trying to condense down a narrative that's like, 20 hours, 40 hours into a 10-hour show, if that. But it's just, I feel like the evolution of the relationship is a little rushed to an extent. Not super rushed. It's not like cumbersome, and it's not to a point where it's like, okay, and now this is where they need to be for this plot. It's just, there are certain times where it's like, okay, well, we're at this point now because this is where the narrative dictates we need to be at this point in the plot. We need to get through to get from point A to point B, we need to cross through these other points on the way. I just wish that they did a slightly better job of like making it, because like that was the thing, like that 3rd episode, which is great, where it's like them going, oh no, not the 3rd episode. 3rd episode was Frank and Bill. The 4th episode is when it's Joel and Ellie, and it's them, you know, going through their emotions and going through the thing, and it's like at the beginning he's very anti, you know, attachment to her, and then by the end it's like, I don't think enough happened over the course of the episode to make the ending is great with the joke, but it just, I don't feel like that's supposed to be the audience realizing like, oh, he has actual attachment to Ellie now, and he has that paternal instinct toward Ellie. It's like that's supposed to be what the audience is supposed to suss out on their own from watching that. But the only problem is, it's like I watch that and I'm like, I don't feel like enough happened in the episode to move them along that. It's like, this joke is great, and the moment that happens with the joke is great. It's just, it doesn't feel particularly, you know, earned by the end of the episode. But yeah, this show continues to wow me, and it continues to, like, the production design is fantastic, and the show looks great, and everything about it is fantastic. Like that abandoned mall just looks so cool, and I love the visuals around it. It's just, I would have liked a little bit, you know, like I would have liked to go a little bit further back in Ellie's story. Like, you know, what hardened her the way she was, into this person, because it's like, obviously something had to have happened before this point, and I would like to see that more than I would like to see, well, I mean, this episode's not bad, I'm not saying it's bad, but I would have liked to have seen that plus this, like, especially when you have episodes that are going, like, an hour 10, like, you definitely could have done an extra 20 minutes and done Ellie's entire backstory in this episode, and I feel like that would have been a better way of handling this, in reality, because now if they're going to do Ellie's backstory elsewhere in the show, I mean, are they going to take time out of the finale, or are they going to do it in the next episode? And either way, it's like, we just tread Ellie's backstory, and it's like, look, we're not adverse to just dumping a character's backstory, because we've done it multiple times over the course of the show. Like, Joel's backstory is just kind of dumped in the entire first episode for an hour and a half. What's it called? You know, Bill and Frank, it's not a necessary, You know, we don't need to have that level of depth on their story, but the show is not adverse to showing us that. So, like, maybe show what happened to Ellie that put her into this point where she is actively brawling, you know, and going right to violence over the theft of her Walkman. Like, what is the significance of the Walkman? Is it a Peter Quill situation where her mother gave it to her before she died? Like, what's the significance of this Walkman that she is so attached to? And I feel like that's something else that, like, you know, isn't really addressed, but it's played as it has emotional significance, like Chekhov's Walkman, where it's like it's going to come back into play at some point, but who knows? I think that's really the only issue I have with this, is that they should have done a little bit of a longer episode and just kind of gotten it all out in the open, and then spent the last 2 episodes just finishing out the plot, so that way we don't have to. I feel like, again, if we're going to go again into Ellie's backstory, it runs the risk of grinding the show to a halt a little bit. But I digress. Again, tonight we'll be doing All Quiet on the Western Front. Tomorrow on 30-minute reviews, we'll be doing Creed and Creed 2, as well as today's Pokemon Presents, which I think is going on as I record this. And what was the other one we have to do? Exploring Hyperspace Lanes on Wednesday about, what's it called? About Dooku Jedi Lost. The audio book from I think it's Kevin Scott. And Creed 3 on Wednesday. So, until then, have a great rest of your week.